New Year has already arrived, and that means 2020 is over in your part of the country. So isn't it totally awesome to have this terrible, horrible, no good, very bad year behind us? Thanks to Judith Viorst and her son Alexander for letting me steal from them. All night we've been celebrating 2020's overdue demise with the best of Hollywood's golden age, the Cliff's Notes version. Over the last few hours, we've seen clips of hundreds of MGM's greatest stars and most stunning performances, all part of the That's Entertainment series of compilation films. Up next tonight, the third and final installment in the trilogy from MGM in 1994, That's Entertainment 3. The franchise originated 20 years earlier, 1974, when MGM executive Jack Haley Jr. had an idea. With much of the American public shaken and disillusioned by the war in Vietnam, the Watergate scandal, an oil crisis, a series of international crises, and overdue social upheaval at home, Haley wondered if the time was right for Hollywood to offer a temporary diversion. That's Entertainment provided an escapist trip down Nostalgia Boulevard and a contrast to the increasingly dark, gritty, and violent world of American movies in the 70s. MGM put together clips of its most spectacular musical material and invited some of its biggest stars to host highlights from movies like Singin' in the Rain, The Bandwagon, and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. The first two films in the series were hits, and there was still plenty of material left, especially since the second in the series, from 1976, included scenes from MGM's best dramas and comedies. So 18 years later, the studio went back to the well and produced this third installment. Gene Kelly returns as a co-host and narrator, following the same formula featured in the first two movies. This time, MGM dug even deeper into the archives to include some never-before-seen production numbers and alternate sequences that failed to make the final cuts of movies. By 1994, of course, many of MGM's classic stars were not around anymore, and this became Gene Kelly's final screen appearance. But as Kelly says poignantly in the film's final moments, the song may be over, but the melody lingers on. From MGM in 1994, with special appearances by Mickey Rooney, Debbie Reynolds, Esther Williams, June Allison, Howard Keel, Ann Miller, Sid Charisse, and the singular Lena Horne. Enjoy That's Entertainment 3. Putting together a compilation like That's Entertainment 3 required hours and hours of searching the archives and screening films to find the right clips. And then comes the hardest part, the editing. The first rough cut for That's Entertainment 3 clocked in at a little over 4 hours, and we all know there's enough material for even more. The final running time came in barely over 2 hours, which means some great stuff was left out. Curating, cutting, and condensing 30 years and tens of thousands of miles of film into a single movie is no small feat. But the process went relatively smoothly because That's Entertainment 3 was able to retain the same editors as the first two films in the series, Michael Sheridan and Bud Friedgen. They called their process a treasure hunt, noting that they had to screen more than 300 feature films and 50 short subjects, often crawling on their hands and knees through archives and piles of paperwork to find the right reels. Up next, more of the greatest moments from Hollywood's golden age as we bring you That's Dancing, another greatest hits collection. It does come from MGM in 1985, but it is not limited to MGM movies. It's a look back at the history of dancing on the big screen. Stick around, and Happy New Year.